Good morning, everyone. Kris here with Inspired Energy. Joining me this morning, Hartwell. Good morning.
Good morning, Kris. Good morning, everyone.
This morning, our topic is on the planets in human design. So, we can start off by having you tell us which planets are included in human design, and does astrology and human design use planets the same way?
Well, the planets included in human design are the Sun, Moon, Earth, the nodes, Mercury, Venus, Uranus, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. The only difference is um, typical astrology does not use the Earth. Um, and in human design, well, the list of the planets are doubled. So you have two sets of astrological data in a human design
Mhm.
class. Also, Chiron isn't one of the things that um, will activate a gate in human design.
Mhm.
So it is considered important from the point of view of the timing of the Chiron return, but its placement is not noted in the human design graph.
Okay. Well, let's dive in then, shall we? Let's start with the sun.
Well, sure. The sun is the most important in both because, um, but the sun in the sense is what we're here to share with the world, how we express our light. But there's a bit of a difference between the personality side and the design side. Um, the design sign represents, aspects that we've inherited from our father. So that's kind of an interesting thought. Um,
Mhm.
It's hard to know what to do with that, though. I mean, can I use you as an example, Kris?
Sure. I love when you pick on me.
Yeah, well, I mean, I want to make it live, otherwise this is just going to become a list of, planetary
Mhm.
energy. But so, for instance, the energy that relates to your father in your chart is gate 38, the gate of the fighter.
Mhm.
And, this is an energy of being purposeful or not. um, being stubborn or not. And I mean, on a shadow level, it's about struggle, and on the gift level, it's about perseverance.
Mhm.
Now, I don't know if there's any way in which somehow in your consciousness that does seem to relate to your dad.
Mhm.
That's something I will ask you.
Mhm.
Does that somehow feel associated with your dad?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
but also in my life, right?
Well, it's your
Yeah.
chart,
Yeah.
sure.
Mhm.
I mean, if I looked at my dad, I would say, um, my design sun is in gate 4, which is the gate of formalization, which is about being logical, and which is about being on a shadow level. It's about being intolerant, and at the highest level, forgiveness.
Mhm.
So I don't know really. My dad seemed intolerant towards me, but
Well, maybe he just lived in shadow and he never got to
yeah,
be with
yeah,
God,
great.
right? Yeah. Mhm.
So, I mean, if we do the same comparison with the Earth then, is
Mhm.
partnered with the Sun. So often in conventional astrology, the Sun and Moon are sort of a polarity. But in
Mhm.
human design, it's the Sun and the Earth that are the polarity. So the Earth is about how we're meant to be grounded and how we bring things into form. So it balances us, it grounds us, and its theme on the design level is related to our mother. So,
Nurturing Mother Earth. That makes
yeah,
sense.
it's
Yeah.
grounding, balancing. So, again, it's like the emphasis in astrology is on, at least modern astrology, is on how we can understand ourselves better psychologically
Mhm.
through our planetary placements, through sign and house.
Mhm.
That's not quite the same thing with human design,
Mhm.
but it's still cool.
Mhm.
Um, Do you have any questions about that? Do you want to talk about your mom?
Well, we can talk. We can talk about our parents, sure.
Well, your mom is in gate 39.
She's not
Gate,
going to be here to beat me up, so it's all good.
gate 39 is the gate of the provocateur.
Well, that's my
So,
mom.
yeah.
Yeah.
Does that have some sort of resonance with your mom?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Mhm.
Well, my mom gate is gate 49, the gate of revolution, or the gate of the principles. My mother did think of herself as principles, and on a shadow level, reactivity is a thing.
Mhm.
And so, okay, maybe, yeah, I could see some connections there.
Mhm. Yeah.
Shall we move along?
Sure. So the
You in,
North.
you insert whatever questions you have along the way, and
Oh,
and
of course.
and readers
Yeah.
too. I
Well,
mean,
it'll take. Yeah, if you guys are following along and you have a question, just let us know and we'll try to get to it and answer it for you. The next one is the North Node.
yes. So the north and south node are pairs, obviously.
Mhm.
Um, the north node, the nodes along with the sun and the earth are quite significant in astrology because they have to do with a deeper layer of the chart that speaks to perspective and direction and all that. But the
Mhm.
north node in general is what we're moving toward. It's
Mhm.
our future direction and environment. So in a sense, it's the road we walk on.
So is that displayed in human design, the North and South nodes?
Yes,
Mhm.
they are one of the activations. So
Mhm.
they do create gate. They do activate gates for sure.
Mhm.
So on a personality side, it's how you view the world, and on a design side, it's how you relate to the environment. So when you talk about the variable level of the chart, the nodes are very important.
Mhm.
Similarly, the south node is about what we're moving away from, our past direction. So I like the image that comes to me from the way that human design talks about the north and south node. It's kind of like, okay, the path in front of you is the north node, and it gets most stimulated once we're through our once we're through our Uranus opposition from 41 to 43.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like, okay, here I go. That's my forward direction. That's my heading.
Mhm.
And the south node is where you've been in the past. It can be resources that you've had from the past as well.
Mhm.
So that's a very interesting thing.
Right.
Um, so if we use you as an example again, well, you've got so much for gate 40 in your chart. Both your north
Mhm.
nodes are in gate 40.
Mhm.
So, well, why don't we talk about the past, actually? Gate 37 is your south nodes. And
Mhm.
so that would imply that um, 37 is the gate of family or the gate of friendship. So you're moving away from tenderness and friendship and coziness, and you're moving more towards the resolve of the gate 40, the aloneness of the gate 40, the sort of breadwinner energy of gate 40.
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because I have like lost all of my family except my children, and I don't right now. There's not that much of a relationship with them because they're in another place, as well as everything that took place over the last couple of years and stuff. So I
Yeah.
basically am alone, and I'm just focused on doing this right and work. So that's very much true for me.
Mm. Well, there you go.
Mm-hmm. And you?
Well, for me, it would suggest I have four placements where because they're not doubled up.
Oh, like
But
me.
I'm moving away from gate 19, which is the gate of neediness and being sensitive to others' needs, and going more towards the gate of 33, which is the gate of privacy, which is about listening deeply and being mindful about my life, releasing attachments to the past.
Mm-hmm.
Or you could say that I'm moving away from gate 41, which is about, I have gifts for being a dreamer, for being somebody who is sparked by fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm moving more towards the gate 31, which is the gate of influence, which is about some sort of leadership.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah, that's kind of what that would say.
This is fun.
Good. Well, keep in mind, too, that gate 37, Kris, it doesn't mean that you no longer have that capacity for friendship and for connection, warmly in community. It just means that's not the focus for you.
Oh, yeah, because, I'm done raising my family. I'm done all of that in my life, right? So I understand what that means. Yeah.
Right.
So the moon, the emotional moon, which was very bright this morning. Oh, where did you go, Hartwell? Hartwell disappeared off my screen, guys, so I'm not sure what happened to his connection at home. But right now we're moving into the moon. So what the moon suggests here is what drives you and what moves. Hartwell's coming back in. Hello, Hartwell. You disappeared.
I have no idea why that happened.
Well, that was the moon.
Yeah.
So I just told everybody that the moon is what drives you and what moves you. So can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah. For those of you who look for signs, who knows? Maybe that's some sort of odd sign. Well, this has a bit of a different flavor because of that word drive. That sort of inspires me. Yeah, the moon in astrology is often seen as kind of an emotional need on people's parts. But here we use the word drive rather than need, and that gives it a different flavor.
So human design is called drive rather than emotions. Astrology uses emotion. Okay.
Yeah. Interestingly, you talked about having gate. We talked about gate 38 as your design sun. My moon is in gate 38. So that there's a drive for me to be a fighter, for me to look for purpose. And that does feel strong for me. For you, you could say one of your drives is to stand for values, gate 50. Gate 50 is the lawmaker who says, okay, people, step up to your responsibilities, take accountability. And if the laws of the land are not any longer suiting the people, then you might challenge them.
Yeah, that sounds like me.
It does. You're a hard ass.
Yeah.
We're going to run out of time, but maybe we can do the rest next week. Potentially.
Well, let's move on to Mercury.
Sure. Mercury is about how what you need to communicate in life. That's a little bit different because astrology would probably say it's how you communicate, not what. So that's a significant difference, really. And in your case, if we look at one of your Mercuries, we would say that you've got Mercury in the gate of power skills. The book of the gate of resources being available to fuel the purpose of life. So you're a person who is here to make resources available, and that's what you need to communicate. We have the resources is kind of like what you communicate, potentially, if I'm trying to riff on that.
So kind of like collect the resources in order for people to be able to use them.
Right. And do what you love to do, and what do you love to do?
Yeah.
It's funny, right. I never noticed that you had 14 before, because I have the other side of that, and That's one of the wealth creating channels in human design. If you have the 214, it is somebody who often creates wealth doing what they love, going in the direction of what they love.
Mm.
So I got the direction, you've got the resources.
Well, let's play.
Yeah, let's make that fusion happen.
Yeah, exactly. You just got to listen. Sorry.
Yeah, you just got to tune me in.
Be
You're
open
you're
and
as deaf as
available.
I am, lady. Oh
Yeah,
God.
exactly. Well, it's a good thing we know each other's design better now. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the things that is good about human design is as you're in relationship with people, whether it's business or friendship or family, whatever, the better you know your design, the easier it is to start interacting with each other. And you go, oh, I know what that is. And then you can adjust in order to have a better result, right?
Yeah, and it's human design helps you take accountability for the energy you bring to the world, but it also helps you kind of let go of things that are not your thing.
Hmm.
Um, so sometimes we have a very hard time differentiating that between what is us and what is not us. And so,
Yes,
yeah.
this is true. This is true. So, do you want to cover the rest of the planets next week, or do you want to keep going and make this one a little longer?
Well, no, I think maybe we should split it in half.
Okay.
Give you guys something, whoever's watching, it's like, okay,
Yeah. So, if you have questions or anything, you can bring them back next week and we can try and answer them since we didn't get any this week. So, we'll look forward to seeing you guys next week and we'll pick up with Venus and where that is in the chart. So, I find this comparison really quite valuable and how the two tie together. Yeah, it's very interesting.
oh, good, good.
So, with that, we're going to say so long, everybody. Join us next week as we continue into our journey with the planets and human design. So, God bless, and we love you. We'll see you next week, guys. Bye.
Bye for now.